Hello, folks! Did you guys miss me? Oh, Squeaky Chair Rudy is back. Alright, folks. Sit back, relax. As we return to discussion of what's going on in the world in 2025, I've got my It's What Plants Need to stay from choking and coughing too much, because I know this is going to be a long talk. This is going to be a little intro of I'm back and kind of want to touch on a lot of topics that are going on, and then we'll go back to some normal shorter videos about Magic or Pokemon or Weiss or the Flesh and Blood buyouts or all the things happening. But let's start this video with I missed you guys. Good to be back, and let's obviously address the most obvious what's going on, and that is in the time I was gone, everybody has learned that if Rudy doesn't make videos, I cannot support the entire market and everything falls apart. That's the Rudy meme. So, yes, we have seen a tremendous shift in attitude, behavior, bullishness, and concern over the last 2 weeks. Okay. So first on Wall Street, we have definitely, we may be a 10-20%? Are we a correction? Are we a 10 or 20% drop from the highs, and especially on tech stocks and NASDAQ? We are seeing some definite money being pulled off the table and concerns between the political environment with President Trump doing the tariffs and shaking up a lot of things, and Elon Musk doing the massive amounts of government cutting. We're seeing all kinds of side effects. Some are positive, some are negative, and we're seeing a lot of emotional swings everywhere. We don't really know what all this means in the long run yet, but it's definitely a very abrasive situation where it's very polarizing and a lot of things happening. The market is not happy with what's going on, at least right now, and we're seeing temper tantrums to the downside on Wall Street. So we have that going on in the Bitcoin crypto world. Bitcoin from 105K down to about 79.80. So we're easily down 25% from the highs. Usually 10% is defined as a correction, and 20% is defined as usually, it could be the start of a bear market, and then you get 30-40%. People call them crashes and stuff like that. So with that being said, the card world. So in the card world, we're seeing mixed signals. Okay, so starting with Magic, then we'll go to Pokemon. We'll start with these big two here, then we'll talk about some of the smaller brands. But starting with Magic, we are seeing Aether Drift Collectors down hard from the all-time high. We're seeing the set before that, Innistrad Collectors, also down 20-30% from the highs. And we are seeing many other squeaky chairs. We're seeing many other products also reset away from their all-time highs. So the question is, on rare items like collector boxes, when there simply are not a lot available and stores and distributors aren't sitting on pallets of them, why are we seeing those particular items being dumped on the market? Now, the short answer is, in my opinion, I think this is simply a raising of capital going into this big Final Fantasy, Tarkir, and of course Pokemon launches. That is the number one thing I think you're seeing. Stores are liquidating every little thing they can to raise money because of how expensive some things coming. Also, you have tax bills and tax season coming up for a lot of businesses that may owe a lot of money because in the last 6 to 12 months it's been very profitable. So you may see some tax bill kind of capital rising also. But on a grand scheme, many of you all are asking me, do we think this is the beginning of a major bear market or a shift in the overall attitude? Is this it? Did Pokemon peak? Did Magic peak? Where are we at, Rudy? So before we go back to the stock market, the S&P and everything like that, first let me say a couple things. The amount of concern that I'm seeing right now does not justify what the market's actually doing. People are acting like the stock market and everything is crashing. And if you feel the stock market is crashing or Magic is crashing, you are telling me right to my face very clearly that you have no idea what you're talking about and you have not been in this industry a very long time. Unless, I mean, you want to talk when magic crashes, talk to me about like the summer of 2022, okay? Around the Magic 30 era of doom and literally the complete destruction of the secondary market, okay? If you want to talk to me about stock markets and crashes in the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Qs and all this stuff, and if you want to talk to me about that, I can already tell you, you didn't go through the bear market of 20 months of the S&P from even 2022 to 2023. You didn't go through the COVID crash. You didn't go through 2008. You didn't go through 2018's dips. You didn't go through it tells me very clearly you don't understand what a true crash is. To me, a Wall Street stock market crash, in my opinion, is defined, at least for me, in my entire life of doing this, is I need to see a minimum of 30 to 40% drop from the all-time high to even start to use the term crash or like some sort of major recession, and I need to see a 50% drop from the highs to even have a conversation with you all using the term like depression. If I do not see a 50% drop from a market high or an index high, using the terms depression or serious deep recession is absolutely absurd, and it tells me you haven't done this long enough. And then also tells me how young many people in these markets are, how new many people in these markets are. People who know and have been around. When I see something like, oh, the S&P is negative 7% year to date, it's off 10% from the all-time high. Like, that's just normal behavior. Like, I don't even consider it serious unless the S&P crosses 20+%. I don't even really get concerned unless I see 30, 40, 50%. Like, if the Dow goes from 44, 45,000 high, and now we're what, 41,000? Are you kidding me? 45,000 to 41,000, and people are acting and being dramatic, tells me you either have ulterior motives and you're angry at the government and the political environment, which is okay, but that doesn't fit the definition of a crash. On this channel, we focus on the actual math and the definitions of things, okay? So it's okay to be upset with what's maybe going on, or you don't like President Trump or what Elon Musk is doing, but you can't say an index of Wall Street, the Dow or the S&P, moving down the percentage that we've seen does not define a crash. It is what it is. Now, if the Dow goes from 44,000 to 41, which I think is where we're at, and it goes from 41,000 to 35,000 to 30,000 to 25,000. So if the Dow Jones goes from 45,000 to 25,000, it's a whole different conversation. That's a whole different thing. You have full right to panic and be concerned because the market is telling us that there is something seriously wrong. And for the market to reprice companies, publicly traded companies, and blue chip stocks to be repriced that low, the market is essentially saying we are on the edge of a cliff, and the earnings and the profitability of these companies in the future is very bad. And that is not happening right now. So let's jump over to Pokemon. So I've gotten 2 distributors emailed me while I was sick and about some restocks. And with one of these distributors, I am in the top 3 largest accounts for Magic and Pokemon in the United States. Okay, that's all I'll say. And guess how big my restock was for Surging Sparks? Anybody want to guess? And by the way, I didn't get to choose. This was just, hey, this is how many you're allocated on the restock. The price is going to be higher. And since you're one of the biggest, you get a larger amount. Guess what it was? Anybody? Anybody? 30 boxes of Surging Sparks with a marked up price. So when we go back to the Pokemon thing, the amount of new people in Pokemon right now and the amount of new individuals that are very volatile and very emotional. Now, again, I don't really count YouTubers or PokeTubers in talking about stuff because they're running a business. They want their views. They want their videos. They want their clicks. PokeTubers and anyone talking about this stuff, they're just going to do what they're going to do because they're running a business. Doesn't necessarily reflect, anything that you and I agree with or disagree with. They're just doing a business. They're trying to make money. More power to them. Don't give a shit. Now, as far as the actual Pokemon world itself, I've never seen a Pokemon market filled with so many amateur noobs. The amount of noob Sabots and the amount of Pokemon people right now that have jumped in the last 6 to 9 months who are just freeballing it and not having a clue about long term and everything is a very fascinating statistic right now. Okay, every time I wake up, every time I'm laying in bed, I see these emails about some new Pokemon scam, some new rip and ship scam. Oh, look, a bunch of pre-orders were canceled scam. Oh, look, people are fighting. It's the same old thing. That's why I don't really make videos on that stuff anymore, because I just don't care. It's so boring and it's so diluted to me. I just kind of, at this point in time, I just kind of smirk and I just say, oh, look, another one. That's great. Somebody give me some tacos. And that's how I view things. The downside fear right now in Pokemon is so massive of the amount of new people that have been in this less than a year. They are so afraid of any form of downside risk, which again is a major indicator that the market will probably have a hard reset. Whenever you have that much of the market that's that jittery and that nervous, if you have any major bearish indicators or any major market events that shift, the amount of weak hands and the amount of weak individuals that are going to completely panic sell will be substantial, especially on Scarlet Violet. Now, when we talk older stuff of Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, XY, we start going backwards. All of that is already, as I like to say, it's already made it. It's already a made woman in this world. She doesn't have anything to worry about. She's set for life. Now, Scarlet Violet, the new block stuff, it's still too fluid. It happens so quickly, and it's got so many people who've never experienced games, and so many people who've never experienced what happens. Because again, these markets are they're not dangerous. I mean, they're predictable, but they're not predictable on a zoomed in scale. The more you zoom in and look at charts, the more unpredictable they become. The more you zoom out, the more you can predict the behavior of humans. So to say that in one other variant is the more we zoom in and follow day-to-day news cycles, day-to-day YouTube videos, the more unpredictable and stupid it is. The more you zoom out and focus on things that are, well, actually important in this world, the more you can actually get a better vibe of the true trend of things. And this goes very well with the card magic and Pokemon world. Because right now, Pokemon, the fact that we have, like Surging Sparks, Journeying Together, the Prismatic thing, we'll have more Pokemon content coming up here, but I want to finish this. I want to move on to the next thing. But the fact that we have all of these items, and the number one complaint is lack of availability, because the number two complaint is I'm quitting Pokemon for now because it's too expensive, it's too much, I'm angry. Is again, I told you all, as long as I continue to see these headlines, the bull market will continue. Now, the fact that people are giving up, they're angry, they're being fled and led by emotion, the bull market will continue. Now, when I see people who are kind of tilting the other way around, that's when, we will have to have a discussion. I do think we continue easily the Pokemon bull market for the rest of the year. Next year, I think is still looking really, really pretty much home free. But then when we hit past that, it's too blurry to know what the data is going to be. So, like right now, well, I don't want to go into the details, but like with Journey Together, yeah, I finally have my allocations from everybody except one. And guess what? Yeah, well, I was wrong. I did not get the same amount of Journey Together as I did Surging Sparks. I thought I would, but I didn't. I did get lower amounts of Journey Together. I'm still going to try to run a Pokemon sale, or not try. I'm going to run a Pokemon sale coming up. Actually, I think it's a week away. Journey Together, yeah. I'm still going to try to run 2-box option for patrons or a 4-box option. I'm trying to stick with that. I really don't want to cut Journey Together as just a 2-box option. But at the same time, I don't want to run out immediately. Because again, even with Surging Sparks, I still received a total of over 1,500 boxes, I think it was. Or did that get cut? Maybe it was less than that was what I was supposed to. I don't remember. Let's just say an even 1,500, okay, of Surging. And, at that time, people were dealing with the anger because Surging Sparks, the release sale I ran was $138 a box. And you could get like a 2-box or 4-box option. And it was met with split down the middle type of thing. Half the people were like, oh, great, awesome. It's better than nothing. Then the other half of the people said, I refuse to pay these marked up prices. So obviously history is now behind us on Surging Sparks, and we know the people who pretty much stuck with it, well, congratulations, you doubled your money and did great. The people who got emotional and skipped it because 138 for surging was too expensive, well, they got fucked. And life, see, these markets, all these markets do. I'm going to be very cold with you guys and be very shitty because I'm still not 100%, so I really don't care much about anything right now. These markets are designed to transfer wealth to patient people. Okay? Let me be very straightforward with it. These markets, I'm going to say it one more time, are designed to transfer the money away from impatient people to patient people. That's all it is. If you are led by emotion and anger, you're always going to lose in the long run. You may get lucky sometimes, because that's just how life works. You throw the dice enough, eventually you feel like a hero, right? Oh, wow, look how smart I look. Again, I didn't, all this stuff that happened with Pokemon, I've told you guys over and over. The whole thing, how I ended up with all these, I still believe, I don't think there's anyone out there with a bigger position of Silver Tempest, Sword and Shield, or Scarlet Violet. I don't think anyone out there has a bigger position than me. I've heard rumors, but nobody's willing to share. Nobody's willing to share a picture. Nobody's willing to prove anything. So in my opinion, you have to always remember, I ended up in this position because I stayed the course and everybody just didn't want it. Not because I knew this was going to happen. Not because I went all in and I was passionate about Pokemon. It's just because I've done this so long, I know how you all work. I know how you all are going to view me. I know how people are going to buy a Pokemon thing from me, and then, a week later, they'll close their patron account and they're banned for life. I know how this works long term. They may think, oh good, I got my one purchase, I'm out. Maybe I'll come back in 3-4 months when, nope, you're locked out for life. I'm not Costco. This isn't fucking Netflix. And again, I've done this so long, I've seen every potential angle, every potential direction, and I know the highest probable outcomes. And because of this, a lot of people who don't know the history of this YouTube channel and who I am, they think, oh wow, that rich Rudy guy, he's the reason I went to Walmart in California and there was a sign with a picture of Rudy saying no Pokemon because of this guy in Florida. Because there's just a lot of people who, most people are emotional and they just don't know. It's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're complete Timmy dumbfucks or idiots. I mean, some people are, but overall, most people aren't. Most people are just normal, hardworking people. It really is that basic. The problem is, most people just don't know. Most people aren't informed. This industry, just like everything in life, just like governments, just like big tech, just like anything, Wall Street, it's designed so that regular people aren't supposed to know a lot of pieces of information. That is just the natural engineering of many markets and systems in place. Now you can argue, maybe that's a corrupt bad thing, or maybe you can argue that, well, I don't know if the public should know everything. That's where it gets into a very complicated, moral hazardy kind of gray area, slushy thing, But, when it comes to this Pokemon stuff, look, we got Journey Together coming up. I just found out this shit's like $230 plus tax on TCG Player for a booster box. And no, not asking price. Selling like 50 to 100 times a day. $230 plus tax. People are paying almost $250 for 2 boxes of Journey Together on TCG Player shipped right now. Like, that's like Rudy selling a 2 patron pack for almost $500. Like, at this point, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, that's absurd. $500 for 2 Pokemon. It's not even a special. Right now we're at like 2. It's like $490 shipped. And even if I run a patron sale, when I run the patron sale in a week from now for my Journey Together stuff as a 2-box or 4-box, and I do a 2-box option, and instead of $500 for 2 boxes, even if I cut off $50, $75, even if I cut off $80 off market price for 2 little boxes to help patrons just have a little discount under market, it's still going to be a bloodbath because I don't have 2, 3, 4,000 boxes like I used to back in the day, because every single gas station and tile and carpet store in the United States is demanding a case of Pokemon. So, this Pokemon thing is going to continue. And you can see the market slowly adapting. I remember when I made the video, or I made a message to patrons saying, hey, Stellar Crown is coming out. I think it was after Twilight or something. And I warned patrons, said, hey, Stellar is the first set in the Scarlet Violet era that's going to be coming out where the markets realize Scarlet Violet's not trash, and we're seeing upticks in Twilight Masquerade and Mr. P, Paldea. Paldea broke like 120 a box, and we saw Twilight Masquerade pop to 120, 130. So the market started to realize, and I warned patrons privately, I said, hey, ladies and gentlemen, understand. That was the turning point. I remember that message, and many of you all patrons understand this. I said, look, the public is now turned on Scarlet Violet, and it's not trash anymore. Which means the line in the sand was between Twilight and Stellar. Because now, when Stellar Crown was coming out, everybody knew the sets were starting to turn. So then I warned everybody, you need to get into Stellar Crown. It's the last cheap opportunity as the new set. Okay, I don't remember what I sold it for at the time. Was it 109 or something, or 119? Who the fuck knows? If you're a patron, comment below. And you know, after Stellar Crown, we saw continuing upticks in Scarlet Violet. And that's when I knew. Then we had Surging Spark coming out, and it popped all the way to 150 for Surging. And that's when I ran my patron sale for the 138. And of course, met with all kinds of emotions and dumbasses. But that's, like I told you guys, we already discussed that. But then I told now, we're going to the next one. What's happening is every time we're moving through, the market and the behavior is adjusting. Now, we're getting more to a mature situation where there is no speculation on whether or not, a box of any Pokemon is going to be $100 anymore. It's just not. It's over with, okay? Maybe in a different block or an era, we have another crash and a reset, and we start over again. But we're nowhere near that. It's going to be a very, very long time. So now, as we approach this journey together situation, people have fully learned that, well, if Surging Sparks is almost 300 now, 260s plus tax, golly. So people have learned completely that you just need to get in it before it goes out and goes up in price. So every set that comes out and continues this path, it makes the market more educated, and it makes the market more predictable, and it reinforces the pattern in the price trajectory in how people are going to behave, which is why we see Journey Together pushing, good God, $250 a box with tax now. No, I'm not going to sell you guys Journey Together on my Pokemon release next week at $250 a box with tax. That's outrageous. I don't even think we'll do $240. I don't even know about $230. But again, my concern is, the more I drop the price, the more the frenzy will be, and the more angry people are going to be when it runs out in minutes. So I also have like 1,000 ETBs, and I sell those by the case, which again, maybe it's under 1,000, maybe 700-800. So yeah, similar to Prismatic Evolution ETBs, that sale will be the next day. And hey, if you want them, you want them. I don't know what the price of the ETBs. I'm assuming they're in the same percentage gains, and that's that. So the point of the Pokemon, we're moving on from Pokemon now. The point is, I am going to continue to offer every Pokemon set of release. Nothing's changing. And yes, the negativity and the anger is going to continue to flow online, and that is just going to be the continuing cycle of life. And the show will go on, and the weak and angry people will shed and flee, and the people who are very into it and the hardcore will continue to go in, and the market will probably continue to reward people who, well, buy and hold. So one last thing about the Pokemon reprints. We'll have more Pokemon details coming up here, but this whole constant fear of the Pokemon reprint thing is a very fascinating thing, because it's strange that you would think. It's strange to me that it's even a conversation point. Because why is the Pokemon reprint thing even a conversation point? I don't understand it, okay? In the history of Pokemon, every reprint and restock within, 6 months, a year, 2 years, none of it means anything. And in market conditions this extreme, there is no reprint that can slow this market down. It doesn't work that way. Not even getting into the conversation of distributors just fucking marking shit to the sky, and you can't buy anything. Even if you have money, you have to literally go on TCG Player. Like, don't even use a distributor. Go on TCG Player and literally just buy off the open market, because that's going to be almost the same price as a distributor. Like, the whole thing to me is completely bizarre. So I think the reprint thing, again, continues to show me and tell me how amateur, how naive, and how just the lack of depth and understanding in the pool of millions of people who are in this new Pokemon era. It is filled with Timmys, new people, and just emotionally just, I don't want to be derogatory and just really rude and use certain terms I'll regret, but just, fuck, man, just a lot of stupid ass people, I mean, and yeah, if we have a major downturn in Pokemon, when that day comes, guess what? People are going to get railed. They will go to zero because they are leveraged and they're fucked. So it is what it is. Welcome to just capitalism, I guess. Who knows? So let's go back to the beginning here on bigger things. I want to touch on Magic, and let's go over some data. Okay, number one, even with this turmoil, even with me being kind of not making videos for a week, the demand for patrons buying Magic boxes on a daily basis from me has remained constant. So that was the first indicator I wanted to know is, am I seeing a major pullback in spend rate of thousands of you all buying the cheap Rudy $118 play boxes, Duskmore, Thunder Junction, and yeah, coming up, the Foundation play boxes and Bloomborough play are coming back for the $118 ship Rudy price. And so far, the demand is not backed away. The amount of you all buying, like, just all this, even like the Jumpstart stuff, even buying the $93 Jumpstarts, even Karlov Manor, I am not seeing a reduction or a pullback in actual, what I call cheap Magic box spending by the public and you guys who support me. Now, when I see that, that is going to be one of the first videos I'm going to be publishing immediately once I get a week or a 30-day period where there's a noticeable shift in spend rate or behavior. Because that, to me, is going to speak very large volumes of kind of consumer confidence of you guys towards new Magic. As of right now, that is not the case. You guys and patrons buying these cheap new Magic, even the new Aether boxes, the $100 shipped boxes from me, the orders are coming in daily still. You guys are buying cases for $600 shipped, and you're buying, the play boxes of Duskmore and Thunder Junction are the top two sellers right now. And yeah, and by the way, just to kind of even give you guys one more piece of information, I'm not sure I disclose publicly or not, but the way this works, I don't know if, do I want to, all right, it's late in the video, most people don't give a fuck. So, patrons are allowed to buy a case, which is 6 Magic boxes, of like play Duskmorn for $118 shipped, okay? Now, that's the limit of my $15 patrons, because again, I don't make any money on that. I cost labor, time, take risk, shipping, I deal with issues, and that's my courtesy thing. Everybody knows it's been around for a fucking decade. Have I said Rudy's been on YouTube a decade yet? Did anybody get on the bingo card? Fuck, I've been on YouTube a decade. You crazy sons of bitches. All right, and let me tell you this. There are some patrons who request to buy over the 6-box limit each month. And I do allow that. I've never really discussed this publicly because I don't want it to become a huge thing. But it's by request only. So if a patron wants to buy a case of Duskmorn play at $118 shipped, and then they say, Rudy, we're opening it and I'm doing single cards and things locally, and that's great, good for you. Rudy, I want to buy 10 more cases. I can't sell you 10 more cases at that price and not make money or anything. I just can't. It's too much of an impact. It's too much risk. It just doesn't work that way. I pay all the PayPal fees. I'm paying all your shipping costs. We literally pack it up, labor, we're doing it all for you, okay? So you adjust all those numbers versus, what the cost of an actual play box is for a store or anyone like me. You don't make money, okay? So yes, there are actually a good amount of my patrons that buy over the monthly limit each month. And I tell them, if you want a case over that, you can keep buying cases of the Magic, but the price is not at $118. Like a case would be like $7.49 shipped for a play case. I don't know, what's that come out to be, like an extra $5 or $6 a box or something. So there are actually, not only do I not see a reduction of patrons buying new magic play boxes in high demand. But there's even a subset of Rudy animal capitalistic evil underground patrons. There's even a subset of that category of individuals who actually buy 10, 20, even 30 cases a month of new magic from me. Okay? Now, after the first case, they don't get the 118 price. Then it goes to buy the case of like $7.49 shipped for cases of Dusk or OTJ, and you have to send one payment per case because I ship each case separately. So there's a little bit of a special process. You have to private message me. I have to approve you and set it up. You know, if you're a brand new patron and you've been a 2-day patron, no, I'm not going to sell you 30 fucking cases because I don't trust you. You have to. So there's a process. You have to ask, and I have to trust you. And there's a process. You message me and that kind of thing. But the reason I'm telling you this is not only is the demand still there, the spend rate there, but that evil subset of even heavy spenders are not backing down. That was the whole point of that speech, okay? Which also kind of also disclosing that I actually do allow some people to buy over the one case a month, but you got to pay a few extra bucks a box a month, which, again, if you're still saving, you know, $100, $150 a case off market price, who cares, right? So, moving on. Let me go back to the main part of this video, or the main market conditions, and we're going to end this video and move on with our life and start getting back to normal here. These markets and the news cycle, the whole President Trump thing with the tariffs, Elon Musk situation with the Doge and the government spending and the government cutting, and the whole Republicans and now the evil Trump leader versus I love Trump. He's finally taking out all the waste and cutting the government versus no, it's ruining this. We have this situation that's going on. Okay? And the market, everybody is all over the place how they feel about it. So let me lay out what I see going on. This is what I think is trying to go on, okay? Essentially, the government has overspent and just been a mess for so many decades under Republicans and Democrats. It doesn't really matter. There's no sides on this. The government itself has been ran so poorly and so sloppily for so many decades. We have accrued and continue to just accrue and burn through so much money that the overall deficit and value of the US dollar continues to just dissolve. That's not really an opinion. That's just a fact. Everybody knows that. You can look at any data metric in the last 50 years, and the value of the US dollar, inflation, the value of gold versus USD, the value of any commodity, the value of anything that's, you know, computated and boop, boop, beep, boop in the US dollars compared to Bitcoin or gold and silver or anything, it's very obvious. We all know that. The actual purchasing power of US dollars continues to be, well, chopped into itty-bitty pieces. Because, well, that's what happens when you have an endless money printer go burr. Okay? And now we're to the point where interest rates are not going back to zero anytime soon. And from what I gather, the interest alone that the U.S. government is paying on our national debt in pretty much the bond, the interest the government spends alone is so many billions. I don't know if it's trillions, but it's so many billions of dollars in interest that I think someone told us 10, 20? Is it 20, 30, 40% of all like tax revenue the U.S. makes now is just being spent on interest? Like it's insane. And of course, that's when this whole Elon Musk thing comes in. It's like, hey, by the way, you know, the spending and what we're doing is so out of control that it's literally, we're going to literally go into debt to the point where we keep printing, where US dollars continue to have, well, no value. And I believe the theory here is that by cutting and trying to adjust, we're trying to get out of this debt situation from what I understand. So that's kind of a wishy-washy theory. Now, the problem on the other side of the coin is our government in our country is so entangled and addicted to the government spending and government jobs and government program. It's like this complex spider web. And going in there with a wrecking ball, you know, is a pretty abrasive, violent way to do it. Where some things being cut definitely should be cut. Other things, well, probably shouldn't be cut. You have this complicated, you know, very mixy-matchy thing. So in the government, cutting government spending and stimulation is going to have a vacuum feel on Wall Street earnings in many companies. And we're not even getting into the tariff part, okay? The theory, obviously, is if you can kind of tax all the other countries and bring in that money, you don't need to technically tax the U.S. people as much because it's more of an external revenue service versus internal thing. I believe that's the theory. Now, whether or not it's being done properly or they're going about it the most maybe efficient way or the most abrasive way, the way President Trump's doing, it gets very, that's why this whole thing is messy. Some people are loving it and it's amazing, where it makes sense at times. Other times they're going, well, this could escalate pretty badly over here. I don't know. The other times, like, well, I guess we kind of do need to get rid of some of those things, right? I don't know. This thing could be a fucking snowball into a disaster. So you can kind of see this whole thing going on, and then you layer on top of it, we have the President Trump and the whole, Elon Musk and this whole government entity pushing back to more conservative, kind of older world standards against the modern culture, all the modern, pretty much the LGBT, all against the BLM, and all against the culture. So you see them pushing back on all this. And, I can tell you, like, I can give you an example here. Like, on my own Patreon account, I easily have, I would say, between 2 to maybe even 300 or 400 trans patrons. Okay? Been with me for years. Some of the coolest fucking people. Some of them have told me terrible stories. Some of them it's been great. Some of them it's worked out. Some is not. It's all over the place. Okay? But I can tell you this. On what's going on, some of them, like, even in the heart of some of these hot topics, some of these individuals are very concerned, and they have genuine fear, and they are genuinely afraid. And then I have other people in the same category, trans patrons, let's say, and guess what? They are actually kind of happy that it's not being used as a political weapon. So even within these complicated cultural situations, even the layers within it, there are so many dynamics. So now you factor in the political thing, the culture thing, the president thing, the tariff thing, now the stock market thing, then the inflation, now the spending and cuts. So when you mix all this together, you have the situation we're in. That's really what it is, okay? Me, I'm not smart enough to know how to navigate and what the long-term impact of good or bad is going to be. I just don't know. Okay? I am an eternal optimist. I like to believe eventually the best of everything will work out. That's my attitude towards it. And I like to believe at the end of the day, most people are good. I still stand by that. No matter how you feel about me, at the end of the day, I still think most people are good people. I think at the end of the day, most people want the same thing that you and I want. We all want the same shit, which is we want a happy, comfortable, beautiful life with maybe a beautiful family. We all want to be healthy, and we want to enjoy ourselves on the little bit of time we have on this world. I don't think that's too much to ask for old man Rudy, a trans Rudy patron, an old guy, a 400-pound Rudy patron, a 50-pound skinny patron. Does anybody? I don't have a 50. That'd be like a toothpick. Like a toothpick? Anyways, I'm kind of stupid. So, no matter what, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, right? That's really all it is. Therefore, I still go back to the default thing that most people are good people. Outside all these hot topics that I know, did Rudy really just talk about this stuff? What if he gets canceled now? You can't talk about these things. At the end of the day, most people just want to be happy, have fun, enjoy their life, be healthy, enjoy good food, have a nice house over their head, have good friends and family, have a great intimate lover, a boyfriend, girlfriend. Everybody wants the same shit, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter. Young, old, male, female, black, white. You could be as handsome and hair loss as Rudy, partially sick. You could be trans, you could be gay, you could be old, young, fat, skinny. We all want the same shit, man. And at the end of the day, that's how I've built this channel in 10 years, and that's how I've lived my life for 40 years. And that's why I'm ending this video on this part of the conversation, because I want people to step back and remember. When I read some of these messages from my own patrons, and that they're genuinely afraid of, because they're gay or because they're a lesbian or whatever, and they're just like, Rudy, hey, I've been a patron with you for a year. I mean, what do you think? And I'm speaking to that group just like the rest of you, just like the 80-year-old old giant, 500-pound Rudy patrons, all the way down to the 18-year-old female Rudy patron. I don't have any 18. I don't have any female patrons. I'm kidding. Yeah, you got me. At the end of the day, it'll be okay. At the end of the day, the markets are performing just fine. At the end of the day, Magic, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, Weiss, One Piece, Sorcery, Star Wars, Yu-Gi-Oh! The card world is going to make it just fine. Everything will move forward. The show will go on. The sun will rise tomorrow. And we will look back at moments of turmoil, concern, confusion. And most of us watching this are going to kind of shake our heads and go, wow, why did I live my life in fear and concern? Because as with most fears in life, over 90% of fears never come true. Why should we live a life of just concern? The problem is life is so short. We talked about this in other videos, time. The degree of how we measure time is so flawed in an era of YouTube shorts and TikToks, okay? We forgot what it's like to measure things in longer periods of time. We forgot what it's like to, when markets don't go up because everything did so good for a year straight. People, it's very, very easy to slip into these spiraling negative slopes of just being frustrated or watching the news or scrolling social media. I'm telling y'all, coming from a YouTuber, social media has been one of the biggest human influential changes in human history. And we will never fully understand the long-term impact of social media for another 10, 20, 30 years. But we all know deep down, a lot of the things that social media has brought us has not been the most positive. Some of it has, but some of the side effects have not been positive. It has made us the most least social humans ever in probably history. It's made us the most divisive. It's made us the most negative. We seek out bad headlines. We seek out, oh God, is that a new Pokemon video? Oh, are they canceling a bunch of orders? Did somebody steal a bunch of pre-order money and disappear? Oh, does somebody want to be the next Rudy? Oh, what did Rudy do? Did he get canceled? You can't live like that. As long as you just do the standard basic Rudy thing, do the best you can. Try to always do the right thing and just do the best you can. Sure, some things aren't going to work out. Sure, people are going to hate you. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. And that is happy, healthy, and enjoying our hobbies. And things are going to work out fine, folks. Markets aren't supposed to go up every day. What we've experienced in the stock market, what we've experienced in Pokemon recently, is not normal. You're not supposed to make this much money. You're not supposed to be able to just buy a box of Pokemon and double your money in 6 months. These are not normal market behaviors. And I think we all forgot this. And having these checkpoints, I think, is a good, healthy reminder. I've always been a big believer in bad things happening in life. I stand by that. It is imperative that shit does not go your way in life. It is imperative that bad things happen to good people. And I know it's a weird thing to say, because you don't understand why. Maybe you've worked really hard for years and you get railed, you've gotten nowhere. Maybe, you've had a bad string of, health problems. What did you deserve? You to have bad health growing up. Maybe you're not the most attractive person. Maybe you're overweight. Maybe you're upset because you're too short. Maybe you're upset because you wish you were some hot, pretty white chick instead of, a black dude or something. At the end of the day, people get angry and people want things that they don't have. You always want the opposite of what you are. And sometimes, bad things happen to good people. Sometimes we don't get what we want in this world. Sometimes the hand of life we're dealt is more challenging than others. But we need that. We need this to understand who we are, because you don't learn anything until you're kicked in the balls. You have to fail. You have to lose money. You have to be made fun of. You have to be attacked. You have to be angry. You have to feel belittled, threatened, and feel like a loser. Trust me. Yeah, I didn't have any money. It was dead fucking broke my entire life until literally the last 10 to 12 years. Okay? 15 years. Damn, I'm old now. Literally, it wasn't until my late 20s, I hit 30s almost. I had nothing. And I'm telling you all, you do not understand this world, and you do not learn about yourself when you stare at yourself in the mirror until you feel that. And you cannot feel that if you're winning every day. You cannot feel that if every video Rudy predicts this and that. If everything you do is perfect, you don't know who you are. You have to be fucked. You have to be screwed over. You have to fail. You have to be wrong. You have to feel what it's like for people to hate you. You have to feel what it's like to be lonely, upset, because those are the moments that when, not if, but when it shifts, and when you bottom out, and when you capitulate, and when the market turns, those are the moments you look back on. And those are the moments that you learn and rewire your brain. Those are the moments that define you. Okay? Those are the moments that legends are born. Those are the moments that stories. Rudy's Pokemon bathroom from 2017. Rudy has the largest sealed master cases of Lord of the Rings Holiday Special. Okay? Rudy of the Sword and Shield, Scarlet Violet era that nobody wanted. Okay? The legends are born when there's blood in the street, everything's on fire, and people tell you to fuck yourself and hate you. And then when the market turns, you come out of it, and you're like a whole different person. And you view everything different, and that's when you become the machine, that's when you become legendary, and that's when literally that's when it becomes, you understand everything. And that's when you see life. The colors are brighter. So, damn, this was a long video. I'm glad my voice held up. I didn't even drink any of my water here. I miss talking to you guys. So, thanks for the thousands and thousands of patrons. Thanks for sticking with me. Sorry I was no videos for a little bit there, but we're going full force now, ladies and gentlemen. I got a whole queue of box openings of all kinds of magic, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, White Sorcery. You got all kinds of awesome box openings I got to get going on. I got so many news things to talk to you guys about. Still think it'd be fun to take like $1 million and just fucking do the biggest buyout in Magic history. Somebody should do that one day. Just to say you did it. Who cares if it goes to zero? Just to say you did it. Funny how life. 1997. Little did I think that Final Fantasy would come back around after all these years. You know, the first time I played that, you really understand how cruel a game could be. Especially when it's difficult. And you die and you fail. But you know what? For some reason, you go back. I don't know. Life's a funny thing.